Hello everybody, welcome to the core content lecture. This one is going to be focusing mainly on mindset, so taking everything away from the charts and really just focusing on psychology because that is a very, very important factor into the markets. Getting started with the mindset of equilibrium. So whenever you're trading in front of a live environment, let's pretend that small little circle on the screen is you. Whenever you're trading in front of a live environment, you will have mainly four common emotions that are likely to occur and are likely to drag you to one side, which cause you to do actions that aren't necessarily within your best interest. And these four common emotions are impulsiveness, fear, greed, and the fear of missing out. So the goal of this video is to pretty much explain to you how to stay in the mindset of equilibrium and not allow these things to take control over your trading and to cause you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. So getting started with overcoming fear. Firstly, what actually causes fear? So fear comes from the lack of understanding in price delivery, trading without any real conviction, and oversizing or over-risking positions. Now, how to stay in the mindset of equilibrium whenever you do feel fear is you can rely on your back-tested statistics of your entry model. So whether it's a model that I've given you, whether it's a model you've created on your own, you can have statistics to lean on in times of doubt and in times of fear whenever you don't really know whether you can trust it. And only taking trades according to your systems, that leads back to having back-tested statistics to where you know over the course of X amount of trades, you should have a profitable outcome. And by managing risk impeccably in regards to what your mental capital can handle. So let's say, for example, you have a $100,000 account. Everybody out there on social media, everybody you've learned from probably says, oh, risk 1 to 2%. But let's say you actually lose that $1,000, which would be 1% of a $100,000 account. Can you actually mentally handle that? Because if you haven't worked your way up slowly from risking, let's say $200 to risking $500 to risking the actual $1,000, if your mind can't actually mentally process and mentally handle that big of a loss, then you should probably size down on your position. Even though you're allowed to risk 1% or whatever the case may be, if your mental capital can't handle it, then always de-risk and go to what your mental capital can handle so it doesn't send you overboard and cause you to get into your own mind. And finally, journaling what goes on inside your mind during a trade. So whenever you're in a trade, it's extremely important to journal what you're actually feeling, whether price is in profits, whether it's coming against you, you're in a little bit of drawdown. Always keep note of what you're feeling so you can go back and, number one, collect data, as well as have something to rely on in the future. If the same scenario repeats itself or happens again and you're in a period of drawdown, you can always lean on a previous experience to where, okay, whenever this happens, it usually isn't that big of a deal and it usually still goes in my favor. So now we're going to look at overcoming impulsiveness. Impulsiveness is commonly caused by outside sources, whether it's family, whether it's work, or wanting to rush the process, anything of that nature. It's usually not something to do within the charts. It's something on the outside that causes you to think a certain way and causes you to impulsively do things. Unaccepting the risk or unaccepting losing transactions. So I frequently say this, but I'll say it again. Everybody has losing transactions. Everybody has losing trades. It's just a part of trading. Nobody's perfect and nobody's going to be 100%. A 100% win rate just doesn't exist. And if it did, then there would be no point in even uploading this video. But whenever you do take a loss, the worst thing you can do is go back in there and then try to get it back immediately. That is probably one of the worst things you can do. And many of you probably have done that before. And while sometimes, the market does let you run away with that money back, if you do it over and over and over again, you'll eventually just lead right back to where you were in drawdown. And sometimes, even worse than drawdown, can lead to a blown account. So how to stay in the mindset of equilibrium whenever it comes to impulsiveness is, number one, separate yourself from your trading and treat it as a business. So back to what I was saying earlier with your work or your family or whatever the case may be, causing you to do things within the charts, you need to separate yourself from your trading. So whenever you come into the market, you should not be thinking about, oh, somebody said this about me trying to do something in this market, and oh, somebody said this, somebody did that, or oh, I just really want to get on my job. That is the worst mindset to come into the market with. And the same thing goes for the other way around. The market shouldn't cause you to act a certain way in the outside world. So if you do take a loss or if you do something wrong, that shouldn't offset your mood. That shouldn't change your day-to-day life. You shouldn't walk around constantly thinking about that. It's you have your business hours and you know what time, okay, I'm focusing on the markets at this time. Whatever happens, happens. Once I close these charts, then it's completely out of sight, out of mind. And another thing is sticking to your process and understanding it takes time. Focus on the bigger picture. So going back to taking a loss and immediately going in there trying to get it back, instead of immediately trying to get it back, think about the bigger picture. Think about your month-to-month P&L or your month-to-month progress, or even your year-to-year progress. One single losing transaction or one single trade shouldn't completely take you out. And if you treat this as a business, then it's simply just a business expense. Think about a restaurant owner. If a restaurant owner has to buy food for his restaurant, he's not going to walk around all day being mad that he had to buy food so he could fund his restaurant. He's going to think, oh, it is what it is. That's just part of the business. So now leading into overcoming the fear of missing out. So firstly, what causes the fear of missing out? Again, lack of understanding in price delivery and getting too wrapped up in the short-term perspective, as well as not sticking to your entry model. So how to stay in the mindset of equilibrium whenever it comes to overcoming the fear of missing out is understanding more trade setups will occur. So if you truly understand price delivery, then you'll realize that this is one particular trading day out of the many more to come. So you shouldn't stress or you shouldn't worry about missing a move or trying to chase after a move. And there will be more opportunity in the future and maybe even better. And as well as remain in a carefree state of mind if the market doesn't offer enough information to click the button and it runs without you. So let's say, for example, there's one thing in price tipping its hand, but you require two things tipping its hand in order to click the button. If the market runs without you, without providing those particular two things in price action, then you shouldn't worry about missing the move because you weren't even supposed to enter in the first place. So if anything, you should tell yourself good job because you stuck to your model. And now we're going to go over greed. So what causes greed? Greed is characterized by not aiming for a specific risk to reward in each trade, and not having predetermined profit targets and being content when they are reached, as well as not having a predetermined number of trades you're going to take in a day. So how to stay in the mindset of equilibrium whenever it comes to overcoming greed is you are aiming for a specific risk to reward as well as predetermined profit targets along the way. So if you do take a trade and it ends up winning and you hit your risk to reward, you hit your profit target, and price offers a couple more points or a couple more handles, there's absolutely no reason to think, oh, I should have held on to it longer, or oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that. You went into the market, you conducted your business, you followed your process, you did what you were supposed to do. So there's no reason to feel greed and feel like you should have held on to something for too long. And another thing is only taking 1 to 2 trades per day. So if you limit the amount of trades you're able to take, then you can automatically cancel out missed opportunity because it's against your rules. So if the market runs, but you've already taken a trade on the day, and that trade was already a winner, then that shouldn't cause you to feel greed because you already took something out of the marketplace. You already did what you were supposed to do, and that's that. You can wait for the next day to open and then conduct your business again if your setup forms. And finally, being content with enough. So once you do hit your specific risk to reward, which generally a good starting point is a 1 to 2, but once you graduate from that, you can start aiming for a 1 to 3. And once you hit that target with the specific amount of trades you know you can take in a day, then you should be content with enough and just simply not even care what the market has to offer for the rest of the day until a new day opens up. So hopefully you guys found this one insightful. Good luck and good trading.